Hello, good day to one and all. This is Miss A. Krishna Sundar, Assistant Professor, Department of English, KAHM Unity Women's College, Manjeri. So today we are going to discuss content repositories in connection with knowledge resources on internet. So before we move into our area, I would like to define the term a repository. What is a repository? A repository, in simple terms, is just a storage space. So, a content repository means it is a storage space where information or knowledge resources would be available. So, to understand it in a technical way, let's use the technical definition. So, how would you define this? What is it actually? What is a content repository? In technical terms, a content repository is a web based service where users can upload and download services. Now, the best examples would be Flickr and YouTube. I'm sure most of you know, not most of you, all of you know what YouTube is because I am giving you the link for the video lectures in YouTube. So once you click the link, you are automatically directed to the video lecture. You can listen to my video lecture. Sometimes if you want, you can download it. But for downloading it, you should have an account in YouTube. An account means just with your email ID and you need a password. If you have done that, you become a user in YouTube, and once you become a user, you can upload as well as download materials. Now, this is the best example of a content repository, which means this is a storage space where every individual can upload the materials. At the same time, the individuals can download the materials which are given by others. So, in a way, it is an interconnected kind of system. It's a give and take kind of system. You upload things which you know, and you can download things which you do not know, which someone else might have uploaded. And again, Flickr is another best example. Now, Flickr is a site which gives you an abundance of photographs. So, suppose you are creating a slide, suppose you are making a slide. For example, if it is something connected with film studies, you require a lot of pictures in connection with films. And if you search Flickr, you will get the pictures in connection with your area. So again, these pictures would have been uploaded by different individuals from different corners of the world, but you get access to download it and use it in your slide. And mostly these content repositories come in the way of portals and gateways. Now, I'm sure most of you might have heard of the term portals and gateways, but remember, a portal or a gateway is very much different from a website because a website is basically open to each and everyone. Anybody can use a website, but with portal or a gateway, normally the users will only get access to that. Now, maybe it's still confusing for you, but I can give you an example and make it a bit more clear. So, just listen to this example. Again, so Portal is a web based platform collecting information from different sites to one. So, a portal or a gateway is always different from a website because Portal is user centric. Now, that's what makes a portal different from an ordinary website. As I told you, anybody can use a website, but a portal is user centric. Now, I'll give you an example. Now, this example will help you to understand the difference between a website and a portal. We have the university website. We have our university's website. I'm sure all of you might have checked it at least once. So if you check the website, the university website, you get all the details, you get the different departments. There is a research department, there is again the department for conducting exams. You get all the information from this website. Now, 1 week before, I was uploading the internals for your junior classes. Okay. Now, while I was uploading the internals, I did it within the website, but I had to use a portal to upload the internal. Am I confusing you? Okay, I'll tell you the system so that it will make it less complicated. Okay, so whether it is you, whether it is me, whether it is a third party, they have an access to the university website. I hope it is clear till now, right? But suppose if someone wants to upload the internal marks of the previous semester or the recent semester, can everyone get into that area? Definitely not, because only a person with a user ID can get in through the portal and upload the internal marks, which means I can access the internal uploading portal only with the use of an ID and a password. Now imagine if there is no ID or password for internal marks uploading, what is going to happen? Anybody can get in and anybody can register any marks. There is no control over it, right? So a website is something like that. Anyone can peep in, anyone can get in. But a portal is user centric, which means for our college we have a specific ID and password. So only if you log in using that ID and password, you get access to the internal uploading page. I hope it is clear now. So a website is something which everyone can access. For example, the university website, I can access, you can access, your parents can access, your neighbors can access it. But the internal uploading portal, which is again a part of the university website, can be accessed only by the teachers of those organizations who are a part of the university. I hope you got it. So a portal always requires a user ID and a password. So this is a major difference between a website and portals and gateways, because they are user centric. They require a user ID and password. So now I'm going to take you towards a few important content repositories around the world. One is IIEP UNESCO Wiki of OER repositories. Now OER is Open Educational Resources. Around 30 specific subjects are here. So once you go into these subjects, you will get many subheadings and subdivisions based on that. Now comes Merlit. Now this is multimedia educational resource for learning and online teaching. Now this is actually for faculty and online teaching, peer-oriented works developed by California State University Center. So you get all materials related with learning and knowledge resources here in Merlit. The next one is OER Commons. Now this includes a number of materials right from pre-KG till graduation. So you give the search title going there and you get the kind of different materials associated with that particular area. Then there is Open Courseware Directory, that is OCD, 7 subject specific kind of a directory, and it has got slides, materials, notes, etc. Now comes Open Courseware Finder, that is again another repository. There is again Resource Discovery Network, RDN, which is maintained by UK. So these are some general content repositories. Now Merlit is very, very famous. Now this is something which you can make use of. I would like to take you to the search bar. Now you can see this is how it works when you get into this content repository Merlit. Now you can see a smart search is here. Now can you see sign up? You can see sign up on the other side, which means you need to give an email ID and a password, which means you become a user. And once if you are becoming a user, you get complete access to all kinds of information provided within this repository. Now I have given a particular title here. Now this is where you have to give the title. So I have given the title Film Studies and see the result. So I have got a number of journals and articles based on film studies. You can see there is Film First Philosophy Journal, then there is Film Studies for Free Open Access, National Film Board of Canada, and there are lots and lots of materials coming underneath. So once if you give the title, if it is communication, you can give it communication. If it is about technology, you can give it as technology. Whatever is your area, you give it there and you get a lot of materials based on that. So now we have already gone through some of the common basic general content repositories. Now we have some of them as institutional repositories, which means they are maintained by certain institutions or sometimes an organization or sometimes an association. Now this is again Blue Ribbon homepage. This is meant for arts, business, education, history, etc. Then there is Iconex Learning Objects Repository. This is maintained by Lincolnshire College and University of Hull. That is again from London. Then there is Ideas, University of Wisconsin, that's from US. It includes a lot of lesson plans. Then there is Durham, which is again a part of UK higher education system. Then there is MIT Open Courseware funded by Hewlett Foundation. Any idea what is this Hewlett Foundation? Have you heard of Hewlett Packard? Hewlett Packard is actually HP, the company HP. Okay. Maricopa Learning Exchange MLX, that is something which includes method, strategy, and application in connection with learning and teaching. Now, Maricopa Learning Exchange, that is actually a group of institutions. Then there is SchoolNet, which is coming as a part of the private sector in Canada. UNU, United Nations University World Lecture Hall, that is again maintained by University of Texas, Austin. So these are some of the institutional repositories that you can make use of. And see, it is not just understanding these, or it is not just studying the names of these by heart, but the real benefit comes only if you make use of these repositories, and that is the main idea behind this particular module itself. Because this module in informatics is not just to give you a basic idea on these things, but to make sure that you are using it, and make sure you try at least 3 or 4 sites here, so that when you try it by yourself, you will get an idea how it works. And definitely many of these repositories will help you for picking up a very good content in connection with your project work. It doesn't mean that you have to copy paste everything, no, but you can read a lot of articles which might be related with your project work. So again, this is one content repository which I have searched. So this is a search bar, and once we give a topic here, for example, I've given here as communication, so lots of materials are coming here. See the first one, a delicate balance, communication in a virtual world, lesson communication, lesson plan, again communication comparisons, keeping in touch with family. So lots of materials based on communication. So you get exactly what you want, because you can narrow it down and you can get what exactly is required with your research area. Now, some of the general repositories include LabSpace, Textbook Revolution, Wisconsin Online Resource Center, etc. Now, there are some other repositories which are area specific. For example, for humanities, you have got something called Intute. Digital media resources, again, YouTube comes as a part of it. Again, community developed content, you are familiar with this, Wikipedia, Wikiversity, Wikibooks, because anybody can edit and change, and that is why we say Wikipedia cannot be trusted completely, because anyone with a login ID and password can make a little bit of corrections, additions and changes within the area mentioned there. So these are some of the repositories, other repositories which are based on community oriented development. Now, there are lots of other examples given in your textbook, so just keep in memory at least 4 or 5 from each area, and make sure that you try a few of them online, because if you try it, you will never forget it on one side. The second part is that this will really help you at the time of your project writing too. So with this, we come to the end of the session. We'll meet again with the next session. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Thanks.